Hey there lovelies, welcome back to the Creative Pause. It's a funny one today because I'm not actually feeling it. You know when you have those days where you just don't feel it? It being whatever it is, you know, it's whatever. Well, I'm not quite feeling it, so I felt the need to use a card today, both for guidance and for a colour palette, because I am going to work in my new journal today. Now, I've also treated myself to some new brushes. I've bought these, I don't even know how you say it, Fumu? Correct me if I'm wrong. Fumu, the Professional Series Premium Art Brushes. So I thought it was about time that I treated myself because I have got so many brushes, and you know what? You don't need so many brushes, do you? You just don't. You need a small selection of good brushes. So I thought to myself, I've got all these brushes, I use them. Do I use them all? I'm not quite sure I do. And within those brushes, I've got some really nice ones, but I decided to treat myself. So in my new set of brushes, I've already got them out. This is what I was after. I was after a cat's tongue because I don't actually own a cat's tongue brush. So this is a 16 cat's tongue brush. I haven't even wet them yet, so I'll do that in a minute. And then we've got some flat brushes. So we've got two sizes of those. We've got a 16 in these. And look at the wooden handles, aren't they beautiful? I just love them. And then we've got an 8. So we've got those two flat brushes, and then we've got these round brushes. So we've got a 14 round. I think this should be about a 12, shouldn't it? Yeah, 12 round. We've got 8, yeah, 8. We've got a 4, and then we've got a liner, 1, and a liner, oh no, this is a little round, a 0 round. And then we have got a dagger. And I've not got one of them. Actually, that's a lie. I do have one, and I've never used it. I bought that from the range, but I just decided to treat myself. So I'm going to wet these down, and the first page in my Space for the Soul to Play is going to be done with these. What a fabulous card that is. So, Foggy Bog. It doesn't sound fabulous, does it? The card is patience, and here it says, have patience, wait until the fog lifts before taking action. The truth will emerge in time, you just need to go deeper, follow your intuition. Honestly, when I said I'm not feeling it today, the reason I'm not feeling it, and I don't mind sharing this with you, is that we had some news that kind of rocked me a little bit. You might know, you might not know, that me and my hubby, we run a shop in a local town in Stoke-on-Trent called Wickwood Cottage. And we've had this shop almost a year. So on the 14th of May 2025, we picked up the keys. Our tenancy didn't start, or our lease didn't start until the 28th of May. So that's the official, I suppose, day. We opened in July. And so we feel like we've been trading for a year in July. That was the date. And we got a really good deal with our rent here. And so we haven't had to pay a great deal out in rent and service charges and all that kind of thing. But obviously we knew that we were coming to the time where, we second year, we knew that our rent was going up. And to be fair, we haven't really paid any service charge while we've been here. But I got a message in the week, last week it was, which sort of confused me. I didn't kind of understand it. So I read it, and it was asking for, the rent for this month and the service charge for this month. And I got a little bit confused because the wording on the demand, it's a demand, isn't it? It sounds awful, doesn't it? But it's a bill. So on this bill, it said that we needed to pay X amount quarterly, but then the date underneath it was monthly. So I was confused. Turns out that the amount that we were being quoted is monthly. And it shocked me because I did not expect that much. So it made me feel awful. So I did actually speak to the managers here at Longton, who are lovely. And I replied to the message to get clarity. And they come back to me with that clarity, which was it is monthly. So me and my hubby, for a little while, it was only yesterday, so it's still a bit raw, we were in that mode of this year was going to be to build our business. So the first year was finding our feet. We've tried lots of different things. We feel like we're in now a position where we know what the shop is. We know what sells, not particularly. There'll always be new learning, obviously. But it just felt like we were going to now consolidate this year. We've experimented, we've seen what we like doing, we've seen what our audience likes doing, and now we wanted to sort of put the concrete in, if you like, and firmly find our feet here in Longton, which is where we are. And for a split second, well, not a split second, even longer than a split second, for all day yesterday, I just felt like it was for nothing, because it felt like the rug was being pulled from under our feet. And even though if you put it into context, we know that we have had an amazing start. We've had an amazing deal. And we know that what we are expected to pay now isn't even what some shops pay. So, it's in context, it sounds like silly, but at the same time, we are going from not paying a great deal to now having to pay, and it's like our shop is not off the ground. We're very quiet. We've been really quiet from Christmas. We had a really good day when it was the pig walk, which was a celebration that took place in Longton on the 26th of April. But now we're nearly halfway through the year, this year, and we're in May. And it just feels like we haven't actually got a big enough audience to afford to pay what we're now going to have to pay. So it feels raw and it feels wobbly, and that feeling is not good. It's really not. And so I knew today I was going to be drawing a card, because I like to speak to the universe, my higher self, whatever you want to call it. I like to get into that zone when I'm feeling like this, because I know myself well enough to know that in a couple of days, it will have passed, it's fine. However, it's still not nice to travel through this tunnel, this foggy bog. And I just trust the cards, I trust this energy. So this morning I thought there's going to be a piece of play, I like to call it play, not a piece of art. I've got a piece of art on the go, I've got number 6 on the go, which you may see in the future. So that one is on the go. This is very much about play. That's what this book was for. I think I got it at the right time. The universe does not get this wrong. And the card that I've drawn clearly is the best card I could have picked. So right now, my head feels like it's in a foggy bog. I don't know what to do. I don't know how you build a business quickly. I only know the slow path, because that's how I work. My head wants to do everything fast. I'm tempted to do everything fast. And I always say that I'm working on my patience, because patience is not something that I have a great deal of. However, the path that I am taking is a chosen slow one. It's a slow path. And that could not be a better card. And the advice there is, it feels like a warm blanket being wrapped around me in a time where I'm feeling a little bit, well, the word is wobbly, isn't it? It's just wobbly. So the colour palette is going to be this. That's the first page. This is patience. This is what I need. I need to get out of the foggy bog. And I'll only do that if I just exercise patience. So that's where we're going. So I'm going to use the Kuretake today, because I have fallen in love with these. I do still love my Winsor & Newton, but these are just so delicious. I love them. So we're using these. And what I've just done is I've just looked at the colours that I was thinking of using for the card. So if we look, we have got, I think this one, yes. This one, yes. I'm thinking there's not a lot of blue there, and there is a darker blue up there, but I'm I'm not quite sure about that. Maybe a little bit, maybe not. There is a little bit of this green colour in it. One's actually that's pale aqua, I think. No, that isn't. Cobalt, pale aqua. That's cobalt green. That's shadow green. This one is saffron yellow, and I was unsure. I think it's that one. I think we want to go with that one, which is actually green gold. So I think yes, 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 yes. Maybe yes, yes. Those are the ones I'm going to use. And I'm going to use, I think I'm going to do something different. I'm going to use pen first. Yeah, I think I will. Pen-wise, I'm going for this one. So this is a Dacona micro line pen in a 2, which actually is that nib. Can you see? It's kind of like a flat nib. So you could use it that way or on the tip, and I'm going to use both. So that's what I'm using for the lines. Let's do it then, shall we? We're just going to randomly lose ourselves in lines. Off we trot. I don't want them neat. I don't want them perfect, because life is not neat, as we know, and life is not perfect in any way. Do you know what? It's funny, because when I say that, I always want to correct myself and say, you know, life is perfect, because I absolutely believe that everything works out the way it should, because we learn from all situations. Every situation, be that a not good situation or a good situation, we learn from them. Ooh, I like it when it goes like that. Ooh, I like that. I'm going to start from up here. You know, the Foggy Bog. And this is like, I just read the whole card, you know. I went down to my hubby and said, this is what we've got. Do you feel like you're in a foggy bog? And he was like, I absolutely do. I think I'm done. I'm okay with that. So yeah, it's not just about this bit here. It's when you read the whole card. You can't make this up, you know. You just can't make this up. It says the message of this card is to be quiet and still. The time is not right to go forward now. It's hard to see what lies ahead, and the truth of things may not be as they initially appear. Events that seem one way may in fact be completely different. Just as the egret, here's the egret, just as that exhibits great patience as he waits for a fish to emerge, so too must you be still and allow the truth to emerge. In this state of obscured visibility, your imagination can surge. Oh my gosh, yesterday you should have seen where my head was going. I was out of this shop, I was back to square one, it was just nuts. It says, you know, you can surge forward and spark your intuition. If you can wait long enough, your sixth sense will be ignited. Listen to your inner yearnings and pay attention to those seemingly random thoughts. Water represents emotions, feelings, and the subconscious. When the water becomes condensed as fog, it obscures the true shape of things. We can't see clearly the way we can see in the light. If we move forward, we risk getting caught in acidic, waterlogged soil and decaying plant matter. Heed the warning here to not allow unexamined emotions to overwhelm your growth. And that is the key, isn't it? So patience, meditation, being still, being calm, because otherwise the ego takes over and creates this foggy, boggy soup in your mind. And I need to escape, and I am escaping in this. And that's the joy of this kind of play. I'm starting with the green gold. Now, I'm not trying to recreate this clearly, but I thought, shall I give a nod to that sort of, that lovely hazy circular shape there? I kind of want to. I'm feeling drawn to, so I think that's what I'm going to do. I like to follow the feels. So I'm going to start with that and just allow that to take me somewhere. I mean, it's not going to be a hazy something. It's just going to be a similar shape. That's all. That's what I wanted to do. Just a similar shape. Honestly. Life, eh? Shall I speed this bit up? Whee! I needed that. It's so funny, you know, what creating artwork does for you, especially artwork like this. I have missed this. Like I say, if you've watched any of the previous videos, you'll know that I sketch, I use watercolours, but I've also got the side of me that loves abstract. That's how I started. I started with abstract, that's where I was drawn, and I love that I've been drawn back to it in this way. So not creating huge pieces of art that goes on a wall, but creating this for me in a journal. I just love it. So yeah, I'm thinking actually I might do an art therapy course, you know. I'm thinking that might be quite nice. I don't know, I'll let you know if I do it. But anyway, I quite like that combination of colours. And you know what? The joy of doing this and picking a card and choosing the colours out of it and just going with the flow instead of trying to control everything, it leads you down this path of doing something you wouldn't ordinarily do. And sometimes I think you have to do that. I just think it's well worth exploring that, because you so easily you can stay stuck in a certain type of art or a certain colour scheme, whatever it is. I mean, I do love these artists that, you know, they show their body of work and there's this coherence, and they've just, you know, they've used a simple palette of colours and everything they do is in this palette. I love it. I just love it. However, there is room for so much more, and I tend to sit with the colour palette of green and blue. That is, I love it. I just gravitate back to those two colours. Now, whether the universe is telling me something in that, I don't know, but those are my comfort zone, if you like, of colours. I just know how to work them. I love them. And I do slip a little bit of, you know, yellow ochre in there or burnt sienna. Those colours do work well together in my colour palette. And when I sketch, I often use those colours to overlay that sketch. But when you're choosing a card and you've committed to using whatever colour comes out of that card, it forces your hand, it forces you to, you know, just pick up a brush, go to a colour that doesn't always feel comfy, and yet you paint it, the process is still there, that process is still absolutely fabulous, you gain the benefits from that, and sometimes you go, whoa, I did that, and it's like it's not recognisable as yours because you wouldn't necessarily do it, but maybe you needed it, and that is like, that's precious. So I think we're going to do some art making now. I've just been sitting and feeling this and thinking, okay, there's things I want to do, but I think I just want to do them because that's the latest thing that I've seen that I want to have a go at, rather than feeling what I want to do. And I just feel like I want to continue with this pen, and I want to just do something in these captured places. So we've got like captured shapes, and I just want to do something in there. So I'm going to just have a little play with this and see where it takes me. I'm okay with that. If you didn't know, black is the colour of the Earth Star chakra. When I first started artwork, I was not happy with any of my paintings unless I'd got a good proportion of black in them. And I think what was happening there is I was being called to ground. I don't get out in nature often enough. Nature absolutely inspires everything I do, but if I'm honest, I do not get out in nature as often as I like. I like going out in the garden, I'll take my shoes off, I'll walk around on the lawn. We don't have a big garden, it's super enclosed, it's lovely, but I don't get out there often enough, and I certainly don't go on enough walks, that's for sure. However, I think colour for me acts in the same way. Maybe it does for you, let me know in the comments. But Colours for me are, I mean, there is a thing, isn't there, colour therapy, and that's why I'm thinking of maybe doing some kind of open college course on colour therapy or art therapy, because it's just so interesting how, for me, I just cannot tell you what art has done for me. Honestly, I couldn't. I would be here for 4 hours on a video if I tried. So I'm just going to try dropping it in on different videos. But black is the colour of the Earth Star chakra. And if you didn't know, that chakra is below your feet. So it's a little way below your feet. And it's that connection to Earth. So maybe that is why we are drawn, if you are, we are drawn to black in colours. Sometimes I wish I didn't use black in colour, and often in my sketches and things I don't, but I'm not happy unless I've, you know, when you sketch and you shade a piece, I'm not happy unless I've gone back over it and shaded it as dark as I can, and it's still not as dark as I want. So maybe that is me being drawn to that chakra to work on that, and maybe black is my vehicle. I think I might just add a bit more. Maybe black is my vehicle in doing that. You know, because I don't get out in nature as much as I should, maybe I'm being given like a way of doing it, and I'm doing it through my connection to the colour black. I had, when I was younger, you know, I had long black hair, believe it or not. Have you seen my hair? It used to be pink. Well, for years it was pink. For years and years, I've had baby pink, dark pink, somewhere in between pink, lots of pink hair. I've had all colour hair, but black for a long time. It was just long and black. Oh, do you know, I can feel the stress melting away. So I've decided to use a stamp, this one. And the automatic colour was black, but I'm going, nope, because I've already got black, I'm going to use the Morning Mist. I don't know what it'll look like. It might not look like anything. So we'll try it and see first, shall we? And then if it looks okay, we'll carry on and do a bit more of it. Just want another layer and just a hint, yeah, like that. So this, I don't know whose stamp this is. It's just a relatively inexpensive, oh yeah, I like that. I might have to do quite a lot of this. It's a relatively inexpensive stamp. Don't know where I got it from. Might have been Amazon. It might have been a local shop that I used to get stamps from. But the more I get into this type of art, you know, the more I'm moving towards patterned stamps. So I don't apologise for it, I love Lavinia stamps, because her stamps just put me into the world that I existed in as a child, and that was the world of Beatrix Potter and the Magic Faraway Tree and Alice in Wonderland. You know, those three things. I always say if Wickwood Cottage, which is our shop, had a baby, it would be a combination of those three things, because those are my influences. That's the worst thing about this, isn't it? Getting your stamp in the right place. I don't suppose it matters for this kind of art. But yeah, my influences as a child were all of those. I can remember my Auntie Jean, she's gone now, but for my 6th birthday, she bought me an album. Hopefully you're old enough to know what one of those is. She bought me an album, and it was 4 stories, 4 Beatrix Potter stories. Tale of Mrs. Tiggywinkle. Oh, that hasn't even that. That's stopping me from getting there. The Tale of Mrs. Tiggywinkle, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, The Tale of Benjamin Bunny, and The Tale of the Flopsy Bunnies. And I listened to those over and over and over again. And you know, as a teacher, it wasn't a book, it was an album of stories, so a bit like your audiobooks now. And it was, like I say, 4 stories, and I listened and listened so much to them. As an adult, I actually recognise that when I read to the children, I read how that woman read on those stories. It's just in my way of doing things. It's really strange. But yes, they were my influences, and they are still my influences, and that's where my shop came from. I really like that. It's just given a very subtle layer, hasn't it? I like it. This is what I like about doing things like this. You don't know how something's going to work until you just have a little go. And the minute you have a go and you see it, you think, oh, I'll do that again. Yes. And just like that, I'm doing it again. So this time, paint splodge. You see? I'm using that one. And I'm giving myself permission to use a very calming colour, which kind of is already in here. It's still Versafine Clair, but it is Shady Lane. And that's just sat me in the grass, that has. Honestly, what I was saying to you about oh look, that is what's going to bother me about this. I may have to start creating it. Will I be able to do it that way? I don't know. Let me just move this stamp to the very edge of my block and see if we can get that on there, because I want some there. Yeah, got it. Yeah, what was I saying about getting out in nature and colours? It's that is what I spot when I'm out in nature. It's the colours and the shape. I'm not one of these people who goes, oh, I love that landscape, I am going to create that landscape. No, I am not. That does not enter my psyche to do that. I am not motivated to do that. I'm not inspired to do that. It is just not. But it's the colours and the shapes that you see in nature. When you see a flower and you go up close and you see those patterns inside the flower. Ooh, I've just had a thought. I'm filling gaps and I don't want to. I want to create another layer. So I want to go over it, don't I? That's what I want. I'm going to go over that, put it in the background. Let's go over that one. Yeah. And I'm going to go there too. Yeah. I think I've got to that point now where I'm going, gold, gold, gold. We need some gold. So I've got my little fine liner, I guess you'd call it, wouldn't you? It's a very fine tip. It's like a needle tip. The only thing is, occasionally it gets blocked and it's a bit annoying. But I've decanted some more of the Winsor & Newton. It's drawing ink, this is. I've got acrylic inks, I could use that. I've got some Liquitex gold, and that could possibly work just as well. It'll get used at some point. So I'm going to now, I think I want to bring some sort of rotation back into this. So I'm going to do that with gold. So I might do some dots too, but for now I think we'll just do some lovely circles. The spiral of life, eh? Such is life. Make sure we go over those lines. Yeah. And then what we'll do is we'll have some little dots as well. Little pockets. Pockets of dots. Got to find space for them. Layers, Jack, layers. Keep saying that to myself. Layers. More layers. They're a bit big. Let's have some in the middle of this circle. Do you know what I do love doing when I'm creating like this? It's a bit harder when you're talking to someone, like you. Now I'm talking. It is a little bit harder to do it. But I love thinking, why? Why have I just chosen that colour? What is it about gold that brings me into that space of, do you know what I mean? What is it about art that does that? Like the fact that each layer I've done on this has allowed me to exhale. It's like, it's meditation, and it's just such a nice feeling. And if you don't do it, just start doing it, because it's just lovely, And it's not about perfection. You know, you hear people say that all the time, don't you? And it really isn't. Yeah, we get hung up in this idea that it's got to look nice, and it does. I've said it before, there's got to be this pleasing layer that you pop on and feel that sense of, I've achieved something, I've done it, it doesn't have to be a masterpiece. This is by no means a masterpiece, is it? My sketching is by no means a masterpiece, but you do have to have that sense of achievement when you've done something. And I think when I rip them off, I think that's going to be really nice. I'm going to leave it aside now and I'm going to let that dry naturally, I think. I'm not going to force it. It doesn't dry very quickly, but I think I've got to that point now where I've let out something. I have allowed myself to play. It's grounded me. It's calmed me down. It's given me that little nudge of patience, as the card suggested it would. And I'm really quite happy with that. Finished. You've seen from the photos. I'm recording this for the second time because guess what? I recorded it all. Didn't he put a mic on? Oh. Anyway, it's finished. It's finished. You've seen it from the photos. So you've seen the finished thing from the photos, and what you won't have seen is that I added the date, and I also added the name of the card that I chose because I thought it would be a nice, almost like a record of how the energy was playing out on each piece of art. So I won't draw a card every single time because it doesn't work every single time, but it's really nice to have that moment because for me anyway, it's something I've always done. I love oracle cards. I say I've always done. I mean, I dabbled in tarot when it was in my 20s. Don't do readings or anything for anyone. It's purely selfish. It's purely for me. But as an adult, I preferred oracle cards. So I've always bought them. I'm drawn to the artwork. That's how I pick them. I've got a set at home that I picked because I absolutely adored the gold. It wasn't gold, it was metallic red around the edge of the cards. And it was a witch set of cards. And I was drawn to it, but every time I used it, it didn't feel right. So I've discarded that set. I haven't given it away yet, but I do plan on because there'll be somebody out there it resonates with. But anyway, going back to the piece of art, wow. I cannot explain. I'd like to try if you've got the patience to listen. Honestly, when I started this art journey, I had this idea of infusing my art with Reiki because I'm a Reiki too, purely for myself. Again, all this is for self-development, self-healing, all of that. I recognise we all go through trauma. I personally, I say this, but I don't know if I'm making light of it. I don't feel like I've had many traumatic episodes in my life. I know I've had traumas, like small things when you compare to others, and I recognise that as a trauma, so I'm not going to belittle those experiences. I have had some massive experiences in life that have completely turned my life upside down, so if we want to call those traumas, then yeah, I've had those experiences, and I love that I have because it's allowed my own expansion as a human being, my own understanding for other people. So that's what it is. But when it comes to artwork, I thought, because I had this understanding of energy, and I thought to myself, if I was to infuse my artwork with Reiki energy, would the person buying it feel it? Would they get something from it? Would it create this connection for the person who it's for? Because I had this belief that when I was creating a piece of art, it was for someone. I knew that there was someone out there who was meant to own it. That's how it felt anyway. And if it sounds really silly to you, park it, because it will sound absolutely, it'll resonate with some people so much, because obviously if I feel it, other people will. It's just, am I talking to those people? I don't know. But I used to infuse the art with Reiki, and then I stopped doing it because I wasn't feeling that it was having any impact on anyone. Well, not on anyone, because some people were, but it just felt like, hang on, maybe this is for me. Maybe I'm not meant to do this, so I stopped. But with the oracle cards, all that is energy at the end of the day, isn't it? What we're choosing is coming from our higher self. Some people call it the universe, some people call it, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. For me, I see it as my higher self, which is the universe. And through me, the energy is creating this connection to a particular card. And that card comes out when I need it. That's me trying to explain something that I'm not an expert on, but I feel that I understand it. So that's how it feels to me. So I thought, when I was choosing, you've seen it before, you've seen me do it on a different piece of art. If you've watched more than one video, you have seen it. I just thought, how about I choose a card and take the colours from that card as well? Because as an artist, colour is massively important. And I'd argue that as an abstract artist, colour is the main focus, because there is no form as such. There are lines, there are shapes, but colour is the main focus. And I do feel that that was where my art journey began, with colour. And it's, yes, I'm inspired by nature's colours. If I go outside and I see, you know, I created a piece of artwork once that was called, I don't know if I called it the greens or into the greens or something like that, because I was stood in my garden and I was amazed at how many different shades of green there were just in this one small space. So the inspiration came from that. The piece of art looked nothing like the garden. That is not what I'm trying to do at all. It just looked, it was trying to emulate all the shades of green, but in a style that was expressing itself through me. So we're getting a bit technical here, aren't we? So I just thought that if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to create this journal, and yes, some pieces will be completely separate to that kind of thing, some of them won't. And I think it would be nice to sort of log, if you like, the energy that come through. So here we can see that on Friday the 8th of May, which is actually a really poignant day for me and Rob, we got Foggy Bog. And we got the advice of patience. And so on this sheet, in the gaps, I don't know if you can see them because it's not, I don't know if I'm close enough. In the gaps, I wrote some key things. I wrote the word patience, I wrote Foggy Bog, I wrote the date. And then I wrote slow, still, ride this wave. That was the advice that came out through that card. And at the end I wrote, things aren't always as they seem, because, well, they're not, are they? We know that for sure. So in this, I hope you don't mind that I shared that, because it's, when I do videos, because I'm this kind of an upbeat, energetic, smiley, cheery person, which I think gets on a lot of people's nerves, because that's me, that's who I am. It doesn't always feel right to then share the things that have caused wobble in me. So in this channel, I want to be as open and as authentic as I possibly can, because you know what? I don't know if you're a YouTuber and you do this. Tell me, does this feel like therapy? Because it feels like therapy to me, and I've always wanted therapy. Because I am on this mission to kind of understand myself, and I do that through artwork. Honestly, I can't tell you how, like, I've never needed therapy, as in, typically needed, where I've been struggling and someone's advised me to have therapy. The only time I've ever been advised that was when my partner was suffering, not Rob, it was a different chap. But when my partner was suffering, I was offered therapy, and I kind of thought, why are they offering me that? Like, it's not me going through this, it's him. So I went along for one session, and the guy then went, I don't think there's any point in you coming back, because I don't think there's anything I can do for you. And I think that's me. I feel really lucky in that way, that I am like that. I have my moments though, I really do. But I know that those moments are not going to last long. But for me, artwork, meditation, all that kind of stuff, where we are allowing ourselves to block out what's going on outside of ourselves, and allow ourselves to just sink a little bit within, those moments are so precious, and artwork does that for me. I used to meditate like really religiously, daily, morning, night. That's what I used to do. I don't now, because I feel that artwork has kind of taken that place. Now, I have to create some artwork that's not recorded, because when you're recording, obviously you're thinking. So it's not quite the same as completing a piece of artwork in the quietness of your own space, in your own self, and losing yourself on the page. That is different. I find that when I'm creating the sketched artwork, because I can't film that. It's really difficult to film that. I haven't got a system or a setup to film that. So I work on a board, so it's tricky. But that, when you're creating, recording something for YouTube is still great. I mean, you heard me on the video. There was releases. There was releases as I was doing it. One layer, that painting layer, that first layer was so profound, because it might not have looked very profound to someone, you know, just slapping colour on a piece of taped off paper. Doesn't seem very profound, does it? But that feeling for me, that connection to the paint and the page, and the resource that I was using, the brush, which was my new cat's tongue brush, which I've wanted. So, you know, when you want something and then you finally get it and you're sort of, oh, I am lost in this, that feeling is magic. It really is. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you didn't mind the openness. And yeah, on the next one, I think what I'm going to be tempted to do is not tape off the paper. I'm going to go for it. The paper allows some form of control, and it does look pretty, don't get me wrong. I love taped off. And then when you rip it off, it's got that lovely feeling. I might take the edge off, but not everything off, because I want to create something sort of slightly more open rather than these little boxes of things. I do love it, but I just want to do something different. So on that note, I will leave you, and yeah, why not try it yourself if you don't already? I'll see you on the next one.